When you look around the Athens High School library, you won't see many desktop computers. In fact, this is one of the few left in the school.
4 years ago, we had 24 desktop computers in our library, and I think we had, 24 old laptops, many of which didn't work.
David Hanning is in his 4th year as Athens High School principal. He gets it. His kids struggle to compete in a connected world. Hanning says that's why the district superintendent made the decision to invest in technology. Athens City Schools got rid of the desktops and broken laptops used by students and bought Chromebooks by the cartful. The school now has 7 carts with 30 Chromebooks each. That's 210 Chromebooks. It sounds good, but there are more than 600 students at Athens High School. Athens does allow students to bring their own devices for educational purposes if they have them.
Some teachers don't like people having their phones out, but they'll tolerate it basically if you're checking grades or seeing if you turned something in or not, if there are no Chromebooks accessible.
They can access the internet with their phone. They do it here with the permission of the teacher, and they can use our network. So I would say we've increased access tremendously in the last 4 years.
In Southeast Ohio, 1 in 4 families rely solely on mobile access, and Hanning says that even the poor students have smartphones. How and when students can access the web is challenging, but Athens is in constant communication with other schools in the area.
You know, we always talk to each other about what we're doing, and that's how we get ideas. You know, the best ideas are the ones that you steal from somebody else. And in Southeast Ohio in particular, we're all in the same boat. Funding is an issue, but we recognize that we need to increase our technology hardware. We need to increase the ways that we use it in the classroom.
The cost of internet has dropped by 50% over the past 2 years for schools, but affordability is still the biggest roadblock. Schools are constantly trying to find new ways to boost technology funding. Even with more funding, after 3 o'clock, students are on their own trying to access the web.
We have a lot of students that live in the outlying areas, out in the township and the rural parts, and they don't have high-speed internet. And it's a big impact on what we're able to offer from an educational standpoint, because there's a big push to use technology, and it's fine as long as students are here and they can use our technology.
One of the ways that people in Southeast Ohio make up for the lack of high-speed in-home internet is by coming to their public library to use technology like this. And Ohioans actually average the highest number of library visits per person in the country.
Nick Teepee is the director of the Athens County Public Library System. In his 3 years in the system, the 7 branch libraries have put an emphasis on more technology for people.
One of the most important things that libraries are doing today is providing that digital access, especially to people who don't necessarily have it at home, people who are unfamiliar with the technology and who need assistance. The biggest advantage that libraries offer is that we have staff here all the time who can help people navigate that. And we even have a program partially funded by the state through a program called Guiding Ohio Online, where we have an AmeriCorps volunteer who can meet with people one-on-one and help them with issues that we may not be able to spend the time with them on just when they come in and drop in the library.
About 2,000 people in Athens County don't have wired internet access. The lack of connectivity doesn't only affect students, but adults in need of the internet.
First I wasn't, because I had my own laptop, but it broke, so now I'm coming back here to get online.
Probably one of the larger services that we are able to offer through that is helping people apply for jobs, helping people get resumes in order, print them out in order to get jobs. There are very, very few places that you can apply for a job anymore where it's not 100% online, and a lot of those applications are actually really difficult to navigate. So that's a huge piece of what we do now, is to help people navigate that when they're not particularly comfortable with it or if they don't have access.
Karen Davis is the director of the Sylvester Memorial Wellston Public Library, which has fewer than 20 computers, and a lot of users use them on a regular basis. Wellston has fewer people than most Athens communities, which means it gets even less attention from internet companies.
A lot of people do have smartphones in this day and age, but because we live in a hilly terrain, having a smartphone doesn't mean you're always going to be able to get cellular service. And it is very difficult to create a resume when you have a smartphone, so you do actually kind of need more of a computer type system. So yes, we do have some who are don't either have internet at home or have a cell phone and can't do what they need to do with it.
Libraries can fill a lot of the gaps for residents without in-home internet, but it's not a long-term solution. Congressman Steve Stivers knows that his district needs help and needs help fast. While the lack of connectivity is getting more and more attention in Washington, there is still a huge gap between Southeast Ohio and even the rest of the state.
With the increasing affordability of some of this technology, we are slowly starting to bridge the digital divide, but we've got a lot more work to do, and that's why I believe that broadband should be considered as infrastructure when we talk about building roads and bridges and airports, and when we talk about public transit in our urban areas. We need to remember that broadband access in our rural areas is really important.
There are multiple organizations across the state that are dedicated to help provide that broadband access. Connect Ohio is a nonprofit group based in Columbus that works to expand the accessibility of high-speed internet across the state and especially in Southeast Ohio. Stu Johnson is the executive director of Connect Ohio and vice president of Connected Nation. Johnson manages the organization's programs and works with people at all levels to get Ohioans the access they need.
We're real glad to have the congressman in district talking to business leaders, community leaders, educational folks about the needs for broadband and where we stand today. And I'll tell you, our Congress has been very active in making a lot of changes recently. It's fascinating to see. Now we have a capital bill that's floating around that talks about $20 billion for telecommunications infrastructure, broadband infrastructure. 5 years ago, that wouldn't have been part of the conversation. So we're making great strides, and our state General Assembly has done a great job on some things that they've taken on, and as well as the local communities and our providers are doing a great job. But there's a lot of work that's yet to be done.